My fondest memories, especially as being a kid, was riding in this Z to daycare. That was my favorite thing of all time. I could not get enough of the smell, just the feeling of being in the car, you know, having my dad driving. It was just the greatest experience ever. And it really just kind of started progressing and, you know, just steamrolling down to the point where I was just obsessed with cars. And that's all I wanted, was just cars. I never thought in a million years that I'd ever be able to have this car. It was my dad's, it was never mine.
I was in the Navy. We would go backpacking up in the mountains north of Ojai. And one weekend we were going up there and it was sitting on the side of the road with a sign on it. It was a classic little old lady, and she had it sitting out there. Like I said, she told me the only place she drove it was the grocery store, and had all the door dings. We went on up and did our thing, and on the way back down I stopped and looked at it, and then the next weekend I went up and bought it. Yeah, I drove it for a long time. I mean, to 98, he was 8 years old at that time. My thing was one day I'm gonna fix it back up and I'm gonna drive it. When he was 15 and had his driver's learner's permit, and we started looking for Mustangs.
The one that we found had a lot of rust in it. It just wasn't gonna be a suitable car for, you know, a 15 or 16-year-old. And it was heartbreaking, but at the same time though, it was kind of a blessing in disguise.
We just couldn't find one that we liked. And then one day I just said, how about this?
For me, I mean, that was just like, that was the moment I've waited for my entire life. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, he liked it. So we just started doing it.
Trust me, this car was not a looker by any means. You know, it sat in the garage since 1998. We're talking 2005.
When I told him he could have this car, I said, you're gonna be part of every aspect of this car. He stripped it all down. We'd pull it out in the driveway. He had it sitting out in the driveway on blocks. If you're involved in the car, you're gonna learn the car and you're gonna respect the car.
Yeah, it's definitely allowed me to learn and really appreciate the car with all the blood, sweat, and a lot of tears, surprisingly. There was always heartache with this thing, but it kind of made it better though, because if it was easy, then, you know, we wouldn't really have the appreciation that we have for it now.
He ended up being more or less the inspiration to do it, and it was good working with my son building this car. I'm totally glad we didn't find a Mustang.
It's the best. Anytime we drive it and you just crank it up, it's the most surreal feeling because it hits you in the soul. That mixed with the smell and all of the other just organic feelings that you get driving this, it's all encompassing to the point where it's just, you're hooked and you don't ever want to get out.
I'm sure he's super proud of it, and I'm proud of him and the car. So it's, because he's done a lot to it since we finished with it. She's got a name. He named her Victoria. That's her name. She's a pretty girl.
Having that father-son bond, building a car together, will be really difficult to replicate. I hope to maybe do that one day with, you know, any future children that we have. You know, my wife is, you know, she's a car girl. You know, my dad was, you know, smart back in the day to you know, pull off to the side of the road and pick this car up from, you know, the little old lady. You know, because, you know, now we have not only a piece of history, but something that we have is a family that we can kind of, you know, hone in on and really appreciate together.